Now here on RTE1 we go live to the Dublin Royal Convention Centre for the Leaders' Address by Micheal Martin TD to the Fianna Fáil Ardèche.
Good evening and welcome to live coverage of the leader's speech to the Fianna Fáil Ardèche. You join us at the Dublin Royal Convention Centre, where Party President Micheal Martin will deliver his address to delegates. Among them, many candidates who will contest the local and European elections in June. At the podium right now is one of those candidates, Barry Andrews MEP, who will be standing again in the Dublin constituency.
In the early days of the pandemic, we know how he led us through the most difficult and challenging of times. And unlike the leaders of some opposition parties in the pandemic, he led by example. And if there were no political rallies under the cover of funerals. He served an excellent term as Taoiseach from 2020 to 2022, but we know that was only his first term as Taoiseach. To borrow a phrase, he has a lot done and there's more to do. And I think of no one better to do it. Delegates, please welcome our leader, Uachtarán Fianna Fáil, Micheal Martin.
The Tánaiste and Minister for Foreign Affairs and Defence now entering the hall. With all the focus in recent weeks on leadership changes elsewhere, Micheal Martin has reiterated his preference for the current coalition government to run its full term.
Accorda míle buchas as for Vaita Vor Chriúil in Nacht. And I want to thank you for your work on behalf of Fianna Fáil in communities in every part of our country. And to the hundreds of members who will stand in the local and European elections in June, thank you for your commitment to public service, something our country needs as much as ever. Every day, I am conscious of the honour to have been chosen to serve as leader of Fianna Fáil. Our great founding generation saw many of their dearest friends fall during the struggle for Ireland's independence. But their focus, their vision for this republic, was always about shaping a better future. They ensured that the newest and poorest state in Europe became one of the world's oldest and most successful democracies. They were never complacent. They were always ready to tackle new challenges facing Ireland. And that's the spirit that must always be at the core of the Fianna Fáil party. And we need this spirit because this is a moment of enormous challenge for Ireland. In this new age of uncertainty, many people are worried that the problems might be just too big to overcome. Can we build enough homes for our people? Can we provide for a safe and healthy retirement for pensioners? Can we help young people growing up in a constantly changing online world? Can we protect jobs and incomes endangered by low-cost competition and new technology? Can we act to both address the climate crisis and secure our food production? Can we address and manage the impact of the global migration crisis? Can we defend our values and support peace and cooperation in the world? In the face of these and other profound challenges, I understand why people are concerned. But be in no doubt, we can and we will overcome them. And I know this because we have already achieved so much as a country, and we can achieve so much more. Just think of the terrible pandemic which we faced 4 years ago. As a country, we came together. In government, working with our partners, we showed how resilient Ireland can be. And since then, we have worked every day to strengthen our economy, to build new homes, to expand health services. Steady and real progress. But we know that there is much more to be done. This evening, I want to step away from the daily back and forth of politics. I want to talk with you about Fianna Fáil's commitment to addressing the biggest challenges facing our country, about the work we are doing in government, and more importantly, what we are determined to do both during the next year and the years ahead. I want to talk about our positive programme of action, about Fianna Fáil's priorities to secure Ireland's future, not just today, but also in the years ahead. Deep and positive engagement with Europe and the world is absolutely fundamental for Ireland's future. Today, there is a terrible war on Europe's border, and the basic values of democracy, which we value so much, are being undermined. But there can be no doubt where Ireland must stand. The European Union is one of the greatest sources of peace and economic progress in history. It helped us to achieve real sovereignty. It is a guarantor of our place in the world and our ability to provide jobs for our people. For these and many other reasons, Fianna Fáil believes that Ireland must stand with the European Union. We must stand for a reformed and more effective union. And that's why June's European elections are so important. Because for too long, Ireland's voice in the European Parliament has been weakened by MEPs who endlessly attack Europe and deliver nothing. To enable our country navigate these challenging times, we have to start by electing new, positive voices to the European Parliament. MEPs who will represent Ireland's interests and values through building alliances. We need more MEPs like Billy Kelleher and Barry Andrews. In addressing the impact on Ireland of the global migration crisis, we need to work with other European countries. We need shared action to reduce numbers and speed up procedures. And that's why we support the European Asylum and Migration Pact, an agreement to deliver a firm but fair response to this profound challenge. Over 2 years ago, Vladimir Putin unleashed a new phase in Russia's relentless war against Ukraine. Let's never forget what is at stake here. Putin is trying to crush the desire of a nation to have a free, peaceful, democratic and European future. Our support for the people of Ukraine must be resolute. We must help them to get through this war and to then rebuild as a future member of the European Union. The values which we bring to Europe must motivate our wider concern for peace and human rights in the world. Humanitarian work and support for strong international rules must remain central to our work. And over the past 6 months, this has meant tireless work to try to bring an end to the war in Gaza and prevent a human catastrophe. Let there be no doubt, the brutal savagery of Hamas on October the 7th should be condemned by anyone with basic decency. Nothing could ever justify their objectives and actions. They should release all hostages and stop their activities, which have brought great misery to the Palestinian people. But as I have said repeatedly, including in direct discussions with the Israeli government, its war in Gaza is causing a shocking humanitarian catastrophe and cannot be justified. The evidence shows that war crimes have been committed, and the bombardment of the population must be utterly condemned. A permanent ceasefire, the release of all hostages, and a mass humanitarian relief effort are needed, and they are needed now. The only possible route to peace is for a stable, democratic state for the Palestinian people. And I will soon bring to government a formal proposal in coordination with other governments we have worked with throughout this conflict to recognise a Palestinian state. And this weekend there are very worrying developments in tensions between Iran and Israel. And we join with others in appealing to Iran to step back from an escalation which threatens millions more people in the region with conflict. And events internationally remind us again of the urgency of working for lasting peace and reconciliation on this island. Last year, we marked the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, an achievement of which Fianna Fáil has every right to be proud. It brought an end to bloody and illegitimate campaigns of violence. But more importantly, it was, as the late great Seamus Mallon said, a new dispensation for our island. It gave us an opportunity to finally tackle sectarianism, poverty, and suspicion that cause so much division. That's the spirit behind the Shared Island Initiative, which I established immediately upon becoming Taoiseach. And for the first time, a major programme of research and investment in building reconciliation is underway. Vital projects are being funded, like the A5 to the northwest, developing the University of Ulster and building the Narrow Water Bridge, improving connections for the benefit of all. We are funding new research, which is exploring both what unites us and where we differ on issues like taxation, health services, and helping children to complete school. I know we can achieve a lasting reconciliation and unity, and this will always be our commitment. And we also have to work to make sure we have an economy which provides the jobs and resources we need in the years ahead. With rapid changes in markets and technology, we can't take anything for granted. We have to invest in our future and make sure that we have the resources to provide decent services for our people. We have to support trade and trade agreements, which are fundamental to Irish jobs. And we also have to tackle the rising cost of living, which has been experienced by every family. The first step is to invest in the skills, the infrastructure, the new industries we need for good jobs and a strong economy. And this doesn't happen overnight. It takes sustained investment to plan, deliver and maintain these programmes. And that's why we are creating the largest reserve funds in Ireland's history to guarantee investments and to protect pensions and public services in the years ahead. Called the Future Ireland Fund and the Infrastructure, Climate and Nature Fund, they will mean that the needs of our citizens are provided for today and well into the future. The Infrastructure Fund will make sure that the school buildings, new hospital facilities, roads and public transport links we need have secure funding from design to delivery. And in tougher economic times, these new funds will be there to help all of our people. The extreme weather changes we are seeing is the direct impact of climate change. No community is being hit harder by climate change than our farmers and the wider agri-food industry. They are not only our largest indigenous industry, they are also custodians of our nature and our food security. Delegates, we need our farming community. We need sustainable food production. And Fianna Fáil understands that reconciling both food security and action on climate change is a defining challenge of our time, and we have to support farmers in this. And we're putting in place urgent assistance, but more importantly, we will deliver longer-term support, new technologies, direct aid to farmers, and real partnership for change. This is Fianna Fáil's commitment to secure the future for Irish farming and food production. Small and medium-sized businesses are at the heart of every community. Overwhelmingly Irish-owned, they're highly innovative and create vital employment. They need our support. We have to help reduce costs like energy and insurance. It is also wrong that employers paying the increased minimum wage are subject to the highest rate of PRSI. This is an additional cost that cannot be justified, and we're going to fix this in the weeks ahead. We will also use the National Training Fund to help small businesses become more productive and more competitive. The greatest challenge which most families face is the rising cost of living. Rising costs for energy and many basic products is a worldwide problem, but it's one we have to address here. We've taken a number of urgent steps to help families, such as direct aid for electricity bills, but we have to go further. We need to tackle costs across a wide range of areas. Fianna Fáil promised to tackle the high cost of childcare, and we are delivering. Childcare fees will be down by 50% from September onwards, and we will continue to increase funding to create affordable childcare places in every community. That's real help for families. And when it comes to changes in personal taxes, The priority must be families on low and average incomes who are feeling the most pressure from rising prices. That's what we've done this year, and this is our priority for future budgets. Every cost adds up, and that's why we are also cutting charges for many public services. A range of health charges have been cut or abolished, and over 500,000 more people this year have free access to GP care. We've capped and cut transport fares. And free school books have been introduced up to the junior certificate and will be expanded to all remaining years, permanently lifting a major cost from parents. Sustained action to help families with the rising cost of living. This is Fianna Fáil's commitment. Of course, the biggest worry for many people is whether or not they can find a home to buy or rent. There is no other area where the pressure of our rapidly rising population has had as much impact. And people are right to be impatient. The simple fact is that the only way to make homes more accessible and more affordable is to build more homes and to directly help people on lower incomes. Immediately when we went into government, we began developing and implementing action on every element of housing. Every honest person accepts that seeing the full impact of this takes time. But the facts show a major expansion in home building has been delivered and is accelerating. Since we came to office, over 100,000 new homes have been completed. This is just the start. We are reforming the planning laws to stop delays of urgent housing projects. We have created a new state agency to provide land and build new homes. We are training the thousands of apprentices we need to build more homes. We're not there yet. We have to keep pushing change and challenging roadblocks, but a new era in home building is underway. In the last 4 years, more houses have been built than in the previous 9 years combined. There is more to be done, but that is real momentum. And our priority is and always will be young people and families on lower and moderate incomes who need help to afford their own home. The Help to Buy, First Home and vacant property refurbishment schemes have together helped thousands of people. A new era of social housing has begun. Last year alone saw the delivery of 12,000 social homes, and we will go much further. Thousands more are already in the pipeline. And we will do more to help people to find affordable homes to rent. The €750 tax credit for renters we've introduced will be increased and expanded. At a time of real crisis for renters, an unacceptable number of homes have been diverted to short-term letting and lie idle through much of the year. This year we're going to take much stronger action to return homes to the rental market. And we'll fund a major expansion in dedicated student housing. To tackle our housing crisis, you don't need politicians delivering angry speeches. You need a commitment to sustained action. And while others talk, Fianna Fáil is the party of action on housing. Supporting older people will always be a priority for Fianna Fáil. Each year we have insisted on increases to the state pension which go beyond inflation. This must continue, and we are determined to deliver a sustained increase in the income of older people. And we have to make sure that people who retire in the future have decent pensions. That's why the new Future Ireland Fund will underpin the provision of the state pension well into the future. And it's also why we're introducing automatic enrolment, enabling 800,000 more workers to retire with pensions above and beyond the state pension. Expanding and modernising our health services is one of the most important tasks we've undertaken. The largest programme of investment and development in the history of our health services is now underway. And one profoundly important example has been the introduction of new mental health and dementia services. There's a huge agenda of action required, but there's been a great start. 52 dementia daycare centres and 25 memory clinics have been put in place across the country. Hundreds of new mental health professionals are being hired, and a reforming mental health bill will be introduced. And we are determined to help children with special needs. Hiring thousands of special needs assistants is important, but we have to go further. Access to needed therapies takes too long, and it's too difficult for children and their families. A new approach is needed. And a core part of our new approach is to provide new multidisciplinary therapy teams based in schools, starting with special schools. Accessible, expert and comprehensive therapies for children, this is our commitment. Acquired 20 years ago, the Fianna Fáil organisation voted to support the workplace smoking ban. It was one of the most important public health initiatives in our history. The full benefits were likely to take years, while the costs were immediate, but it was the right thing to do. Thousands of lives have been saved because we took the long-term view, and we must keep our focus on public health. And wherever I go in the country, I meet parents who are worried about what is becoming the new public health crisis of our time, the impact on children of social media and being constantly online. Research clearly shows mental health, educational and social damage to many children. But parents and schools struggle to know what to do. We've taken the first step by sending guidance to schools, but we must go further. A joint initiative will be prepared by Health and Education. Clear, accessible guidance will be available to every parent on what to do concerning your child and the online world. Every school will be given funding to support the banning of smartphone use during school time. And to the social media companies, our message is clear. Take concrete steps to get underage children off your apps, or we will impose those steps on you. Online safety, getting children off their screens and back talking to each other. These are objectives we should all share. Agus is tóram lárnach de fartaí Fianna Fáil, go gcaithmid ar gultúr agus ar bhéanúlacht náisiúnta, a chosint agus a orbert. Is cuid riachtanach dar nahantas náisiúnta, dlúbhaint a bheith going le cultúr na Europe agus le cultúr an dawn ilig. Sin cuid háchtach dar néireanachas. Le cuig bliana anuas, tá mi de hir ag méadú na takeíochta don na dachas trí bhean na Gaeilge. Ní leon áras ach go landfig afheocan na Gaeilge, ar danga úntach náisiúnta, aig le dígris na blinta amach roing. Agus is dúnta an scéile, go bhfuil Thomas Byrne mar aran na Gaeltachta inis. Even with the impact of a terrible pandemic and a war in Europe, we've been able to show real movement in critical areas. But our focus is not on looking back, it's on moving forward. To those who think everyone in politics is the same, it's just not true. This evening I focused on talking about our priorities and what we want to achieve in the years ahead. But be in no doubt that there are real and growing differences between the parties. Fianna Fáil rejects the negative politics of those who claim Ireland has achieved nothing, those who oppose everything and offer empty promises. Fianna Fáil is the party willing to do the serious work of planning, funding, delivering, sustaining progress in our country. We are the party which shows how a positive agenda can help us overcome even the biggest problems. We are the party which shows just how much more our country can achieve. We believe in supporting enterprise as a foundation for a strong economy. We believe in supporting trade and trade agreements which allow Irish companies and jobs to thrive. We believe in using economic success to support good pensions and social supports. We believe in sustained action to build more homes and to make homes more affordable to buy and rent. We believe in helping to reduce costs faced by families. We believe in reaching out to build reconciliation and unity on our island. We believe in protecting a European Union which is vital for our future. And most of all, we are committed to the hard and sustained work of delivering real progress for the Irish people. This is our work. This is our commitment. Gurb míle maith go raibh go léir with our Fianna Fáil.
A standing ovation for Fianna Fáil leader Micheal Martin in a speech in which he focused on the importance of June's European elections. He reiterated calls for a ceasefire and the release of hostages in Gaza and said Ireland is moving closer to recognising a Palestinian state. He described climate change as a defining challenge of our time and said farmers have to be supported. On housing, the Fianna Fáil leader said over 100,000 new homes have been completed since the party came to office. He said there's more to be done, but a new era of home building is underway. Micheal Martin will join the Week in Politics at noon tomorrow, and he will also be interviewed on This Week on RTE Radio 1 tomorrow at 1. That's all from our coverage of the Fianna Fáil Ardèche at the Dublin Royal Convention Centre. A very good evening.